my biological parents at the age of 8 at Seaside Park in Bridgeport, Connecticut. It only lasted about an hour and a half. My mother, being the Italian that she is, when she found me, came up to me and hugged me and squeezed me and kissed me all over for about 10 minutes, and then started slapping me the rest of the 10 minutes after that. Why did I get lost? Why did I get lost? And it was a mix-up in communication between she and my dad that I was abandoned for that short time. I think parents, you can tell me more, those who are parents sitting here, if you're with a small child going through the supermarket, you might fear that that child might separate from you and might feel abandoned. And it's a terrible terror, a terrible fear that we have as human beings, to be abandoned. Every time I think of that event when I was 8 at Seaside Park, I kind of shudder because it was an awful feeling. Can you imagine how Jesus felt in the Garden of Gethsemane, kneeling there, praying, knowing full well that Judas, one of his 12 chosen disciples, was going to come and betray him with a kiss? How do you think he felt kneeling in that garden, praying, knowing full well that one of his chosen 12, Peter, was going to deny him 3 times? How do you think he felt carrying that huge cross through the streets of Jerusalem while so many looked on, laughing and mocking? And how do you think he felt hanging there on the cross, breathing his last breath? Abandoned. The irony is, Jesus wasn't abandoned by his Father. Jesus willingly gave his life to his Father for our sake. He willingly abandoned himself. As St. Paul said in the letter to the Philippians, he humbled himself, taking the form of a human being, the form of a slave, for our sake. He abandoned his own divinity and took full charge of our humanity for us. All for us. What does it take for us to abandon ourselves to God? Because that whole notion of abandoning ourselves means we have to relinquish control. We all like our control, don't we? We like control of the TV remote, right? We like control of the world from our smartphones. We like control of the car when we're driving and we can pass people and do all kinds of things. We like control, and relinquishing control and abandoning ourselves doesn't come easy. It is a grace that is acquired in the asking. We can probably begin by trying to relinquish control in those times in our lives when we don't really have control. This past Friday and Saturday, CCM was on our spring retreat in the mountains in Laurel Springs. Our theme of our retreat was Holywood, not Hollywood, which meant that we were going to be outside the entire time doing things. And God so ordained that it would be a torrential rainstorm from the moment we began till almost the moment we left. And we had to be inside. We had to relinquish control of that. We had no choice. And God knows it turned out very well. Driving home with a certain young man in this congregation, we were stuck in between 2 Priuses. And there was nothing I could do to get by the one Prius in the left lane that was dawdling and going 40 miles an hour in a 65-mile-an-hour zone. I had no choice but to relinquish control and abandon myself to the situation. We can begin by those things we really don't have control over anyway and say, this is a start, Lord. I abandon myself to your will. And then maybe, just maybe, those areas that we do have control over, we might try and freely give over to God. Might. A number of people in the course of human history have written prayers of abandonment. I have two here, one by Thomas Merton and another by St. Charles de Foucauld. I'll read the first. My Lord God, I have no idea where I am going. I do not see the road ahead of me. I cannot know for certain where it will end. I have seniors at Elon in mind. Nor do I really know myself. And that I think I am following your will does not mean that I am actually doing so. But I believe the desire to please you does, in fact, please you. And I hope I have that desire in all I am doing. I hope I will never do anything apart from that desire. And I know if I do this, you will lead me by the right road, though I may know nothing about it. I will trust you always, though I may seem to be lost and in the shadow of death. I will not fear, for you will never leave me to face my perils alone. Second prayer by St. Charles de Foucauld. Father, I abandon myself into your hands. Do with me what you will. Whatever you may do, I thank you. I am ready for all. I accept all. Let only your will be done in me and in all your creatures. I wish no more than this, Lord. Into your hands I commend my soul. I offer it to you with all the love of my heart. For I love you, Lord, and so need to give myself, to surrender myself into your hands without reserve and with boundless confidence. For you are my Father. I believe St. Charles de Foucauld was inspired by Jesus himself on the cross, whose final words were, Father, into your hands I commend my spirit. My brothers and sisters, God is in control of our lives. Even though we think at times we have the reins, and we have the wheel, and we have the smartphone, or whatever it is that gives us the semblance of control. It is God, ultimately. Jesus knew that. I hope and pray we can, in our lifetime, know that too. Palm Sunday of the Lord's Passion begins the holiest week of the year. It continues with the Triduum, the sacred Triduum, Holy Thursday. At 7:30, we have the Mass of the Lord's Supper in Holt Chapel on South Campus. And we will wash the feet of 12 disciples. Because we have Mass on Holy Thursday, we will not have Wednesday night Catholic on Wednesday night. On Good Friday, we as a community of faith here at Elon celebrate and walk the Stations of the Cross symbolically around Fonville Fountain at 12 p.m. noon, right in front of the Alamance building. And on Easter Sunday, we have one noontime Mass in McKinnon Hall in the Mosley Center. So, Holy Thursday, if you care to join us, and I invite you to, for the Triduum services at this holiest week of the year. Holy Thursday, 7:30, Holt Chapel. Good Friday, 12 noon around the Fonville Fountain, Alamance building. And 12 noon on Sunday, Easter